them $50 million guaranteed loans, and they all went bankrupt. The BP oil spill crisis, misrepresenting what it was, mishandling it, and then unlawfully forcing them to pay up a $2 billion fund that isn't monitored by Congress. The U.S. federal government is being used to promote the LGBT, the gay lesbian agenda. The posting of a fraudulent and forged copy of his birth certificate at whitehouse.gov. Obama's birthplace questioned, according to his own Harvard Law Review entry. The CIA spying on Congress. The disastrous rollout of Obamacare. Issuing illegal executive orders to legislate new immigration law without congressional approval. Appointing unqualified candidates to ambassadorships, his latest one being a TV producer with no managerial skills, no known skills at all other than being able to put on a TV show. She's an ambassador to Hungary. Inflaming racial hatreds in Ferguson, New York City, Sanford, Florida, and Boston. Race baiting whenever it serves the administration's narrow political goals. And continuous attempts to incite a full-blown race war. The last three bullet points clearly spell out a deliberate and premeditated strategy to divide the nation. And they're doing it with manufactured racism. When you send the Department of Justice in to fan the flames and to speak with the agitators and say, I understand your distrust of the police. That's not being a leader. That's not being a responsible government official. That's being a race baiter and a troublemaker. But it's all to get us to watch the left hand so we can't see what the right hand is doing. He gets a scandal that's getting out of control, and he goes and starts something else over here, so everybody looks at that and stops watching what's going on. Parents, open your eyes. Pay attention to what's going on in your classrooms, in your kids' classrooms. We go over this week after week after week. Students at one Northern California high school are learning more than just the birds and the bees. The Acalanes High School in Northern California were given a gender identity chart in a sex ed class. This class is being taught by Planned Parenthood. It's not being taught by teachers even. Now, I'm against schools teaching sex ed from the get-go. I was against it when they were still teaching real stuff like reading, writing, and arithmetic. But now we're not teaching them that. Our kids are failing on every test level. Brad Dacus of the Pacific Justice Institute says Planned Parenthood gets more grants from the promiscuity of children. The material they provide these kids was material that mirrored their own agenda. They're asking 13 and 14-year-old students if they're ready to have sex, if they have water-based lubricants and condoms, if they could handle a possible infection of pregnancy. Another worksheet reads like a how-to on obtaining consent from a possible sexual partner, offers them possible statements to get a conversation going. Do you want to go back to my place? Is it okay if I take my pants off? And that's not even the worst of it. If it was just how to have sex, it would be bad enough. But they're also teaching kids that they don't have to identify themselves as being a boy or a girl. That it's okay to say that I'm agender or bigender or two-spirit among several names that they're given to. I would throw somebody off a roof if they started telling my son he didn't have to be a boy, or my daughter she didn't have to be a girl. I'm sorry. That's none of their damn business. We send our kids to school to learn what they need to move forward and get a job and provide for their family. I don't send my kids to school to have them tell my kids they can be freaks and that it's okay for Bobby to wear a dress. And to have Planned Parenthood come in and teach this crap. And I say crap because I'm on air. I've got other words that I'm really ready to use for this topic. This ticks me off to no end. To have Planned Parenthood, who makes money when these kids get infections, when these kids get pregnant and need an abortion, to teach our kids to be promiscuous whores. These people ought to be taken out and shot. This is absolutely criminal. And I hope somebody presses some serious lawsuits against Planned Parenthood. They should lose every dollar of funding they get from taxpayers. They don't deserve a single dollar of taxpayer money. And by the way, Quincy in the chat room says, which is a reminder because, yes, I did know it. I had forgotten it years ago. But United Way supports Planned Parenthood. So if you're giving money to United Way, you're supporting these abortion mills. So it might be time to revisit where you give your money to. Okay, big news this week. We had let's do this one first. Golly, it's 9:30. Unbelievable. Where did the time go? It is the fastest hour in radio, folks. We'll be right back.
Tom O'Halloran, holding the line against tyranny from Washington, D.C.
I am America. One voice, united we stand. I am America. One hope to heal our land. There is still work that must be done. I will not rest until we've won. I am
And welcome back. This is the Wednesday night edition of the Patriot-Radio Show. I'm your host, Tom O'Halloran. Thank you for tuning in. I know there's a lot of options out there, and I appreciate it every time you dial us in. Okay, so we're teaching our kids how to have sex. Last week we had a story where they were teaching fifth graders how to have safe anal sex. But, I mean, at least our kids are being taught, things like the Pledge of Allegiance, right? Well, not so fast. Not so fast. There's a college, at least it's college. If they've made it that far, we can thank our lucky stars, I guess. But Denver, Colorado, there's a college, a sub-college. It's the Metropolitan State University of Denver. Professor Charles Engletti's American Civilization class, this scumbag is forcing kids to take his class, and it is a required class for some 25 majors. A required class. And you not only have to read this, you have to memorize this. This is his un-American anti-American Pledge of Allegiance. And I shouldn't give it airtime, but I want you to hear what this piece of crap professor is forcing down our kids' throats. I pledge allegiance to and wrap myself in the flag of the United States against anything un-American, and to the Republicans for which it stands, two nations under Jesus, rich against poor, with curtailed liberty and justice for all except blacks, homosexuals, women who want abortions, communists, welfare queens, tree huggers, feminazis, illegal immigrants, children of illegal immigrants, and you if you don't watch your step. They've got to spend enough of their brain cycles, enough of their time when they're supposed to be reading, enough of their time to memorize this. Or they take a hit in their GPA. This self-proclaimed atheist and socialist said that he's been distributing this pledge for nearly 20 years as part of his lesson plan. It's absolutely insane. Students on the academic review site ratemyprofessors.com call Angeletti an easy grader unless you are a conservative, who he retaliates against with grade demotions. You simply end up pretending to agree with him so you get your grade. What happened to educating people? What happened to teaching them how to be proud of your country? What happened to teaching them? It's a social studies class, isn't it? Let me look here. American civilization class. Teach about civilization, but you can do it without tearing down an entire political party, which is roughly half of America. And that's just insane. And the teachers that refuse to allow students to think. We had a story we covered a couple of weeks back. A professor on a gay studies course said that homosexual marriage is a right, and somebody disagreed with him. They were invited to leave the class. You don't belong in this classroom. What happened to teaching kids the ability to free think, to think outside the box, be able to draw your own conclusions? What happened? When did it actually turn into full steam indoctrination? Because that's all these kids are getting in school. It started in colleges years ago, probably 60 years ago is when it started. And now it's all the way down into elementary school, forcing kids to read books with my two dads or my two moms, normalizing homosexuality. And if you question it, you're ostracized. It's insane. The communists in Russia have always tried to tear down America, but they don't have to do a thing anymore. They've already got their people. They've already got the communists inside our learning centers, inside our schools and universities. And they're teaching our kids with their Play-Doh minds, easily to shape, mold. And they're filling them with this garbage. It's absolutely insane. Oh, mercy. It just, week after week, the stories that come out of schools. This one, I promise you full agitation, my friends. Okay. Bridgewater, New Jersey. The Muslims wanted to come in and build a mega mosque in this little neighborhood. Zoning rules said no. Churches and mosques and that kind of thing need to be built on the main thoroughfares. They protested. The city council turned it down. They called in CAIR. Now CAIR, C-A-I-R, the Council on American Islamic Relations. Egypt has declared this organization a Muslim Brotherhood terrorist front group. The United Arab Emirates has labeled it the same thing. The United States had labeled it a terrorist front group until Obama took office. And then such titles were taken down, and they're trying to paint it as a civic-minded organization. But they called in the Department of Justice. Eric Holder, Obama's lapdog, is suing the town of Bridgewater, New Jersey. He's suing the town because they have zoning ordinances like every town does. But why is the Department of Justice, why are your tax dollars going to work for the Muslim Brotherhood? Since when did the Department of Justice or maybe DOJ is Department